What is going on, Los Angeles Dodger fans? Hope everyone's doing well out there. You are listening to the Incline Dodgers podcast. Oops. We are presented by Tick Pick and Believe. Kevin Klein speaking. Jake Reiner will be hopping on in just a couple minutes. Hope everyone is doing well out there. We are just a couple weeks till Christmas. Hope you're getting your Christmas shopping done. You could always go to Tick Pick. Quick plug there. We've got a lot to talk about on today's show. Make sure to smash that like button for those watching on YouTube. Hit that subscribe button as well. And we're going to dive into things. Today's agenda, we are stacked. Dodgers are getting heavily linked to Tarik Skubal of the Detroit Tigers. We're going to break down the latest that we are reading and hearing out there. Kyle Tucker rumors still have a lot of life to them. We'll talk about Kyle Tucker. Going to dive into Teoscsr Hernandez and what his trade market looks like. Maybe touch upon Cody Bellinger, Steven Kwan, Brendan Donovan. The Dodgers made a signing today as well. Well, they made two signings technically. We'll talk about Edwin Diaz and recap the press conference that took place earlier today. And we will also talk about the roster move. The Dodgers added an outfielder as well. Let me know how you're all doing out there. Get those questions in there. Smash that like button. And we've got a full show to get into. So where to even start? Let's see. Can't get my microphone to, oh, 1 second. We're going to start at the top. So I'm waiting for Jake to kind of get in here, but Tarik Skubal. This is an obvious one. This is such a no-brainer. If the Detroit Tigers are willing to trade him and the Dodgers have an offer that's competitive, then why would we even debate this? Tarik Skubal is a slam dunk acquisition. You want him to be a Los Angeles Dodger. This is the best pitcher in all of Major League Baseball. He is the closest thing I have seen to Clayton Kershaw. Back-to-back Cy Young Awards. The guy is a legitimate ace. He is a frontline guy, and you start him game one. If Skubal is wearing a Dodgers uniform, you've got Yamamoto, you've got Skubal. You could debate it either way, but those are your frontline game one and game two starters. There's a lot that hinges on Skubal getting traded. I mean, of course, the big part is, do the Detroit Tigers actually want to deal Skubal? That remains to be seen. But we are seeing some insiders heavily linked to all of Major League Baseball putting reports out there that a Skubal trade is looking more and more likely. You've got Jorge Castillo, who used to cover the Dodgers. Now he's out there in New York reporting that if his prediction is Skubal will get traded this offseason. You've got Bob Nightingale, who wrote out there, while he doesn't necessarily believe that a Skubal trade will happen, he did report that the Detroit Tigers were intrigued by the package that the Dodgers did propose for Skubal. And I'm just telling you, a guy like Skubal, if he's on the market, you best believe the Dodgers are going to do their due diligence and go all in to try to acquire this guy. Because even though the rotation is very strong as is with a Yamamoto, Ohtani, Snell, Glasnow, Skubal is a huge upgrade over Tyler Glasnow. And I love Tyler Glasnow, but if I can get Tarik Skubal over freaking Tyler Glasnow, you make that trade every single day. Thank you. One man show right now. Thank you guys. Okay. So what would the trade package be that Tarik Skubal can offer? What can the Dodgers offer for Tarik Skubal? That's a great question. We're going to dive into that right now. So let's freaking go. I think Emmett Sheehan for sure has to be involved in this package. If I'm the Detroit Tigers, I'm asking for Emmett Sheehan. I think that is kind of a piece that you would expect to get on the flip side. I think the Dodgers, it would make a ton of sense to try to persuade the Detroit Tigers to get Tyler Glasnow. And I also think the Detroit Tigers would want Tyler Glasnow. The reasons being he's guaranteed just 2 years, roughly $65 million. When you've got Skubal going to the Dodgers, you need an ace. You need someone you can count on. And while Tyler Glasnow is not truly an ace, he's definitely a guy that could be a frontline starter for you, someone you hand the ball off to game one. You could have Glasnow go game one. You could go Sheehan game two. You could go Flaherty game three, and then whoever else game four. That's a pretty solid rotation. There'd have to be some top prospects involved for sure. I think the Dodgers would keep Josue DePaula. I think he's an untouchable for them at this point, but I do think Zaire Hope probably has to go in this package. So you're looking at Sheehan, Hope, and Glasnow for sure. Then you throw in another couple prospects, maybe someone like Zach Root, who they recently drafted, or Jackson Ferris, who's been in the farm system for a couple of years. You throw him for Skubal, and then maybe one other prospect that you would just have to make up a name. But I think that's pretty much what the deal would look like. Glasnow, Sheehan, Hope, a guy like Root or Ferris, and then another prospect. I mean, all indications are that the Detroit Tigers are expecting a Juan Soto type haul in return for Tarik Skubal, and for good reason. This guy is the best pitcher in Major League Baseball. You run some risks. So the biggest risk, obviously, is Skubal has 1 year left of control. So he likely will test free agency once the 2026 season concludes. You're probably asking yourself, well, who is Tarik Skubal's agent? The agent for Skubal is the superstar agent, the household name. It's Scott Boras. So Scott Boras represents Skubal. That means it's going to be very, very difficult to try to work out an in-season extension. Now, there are rarities, there are unicorns, and this could be one of those unicorns where maybe Scott Boras says, these are my terms. I want 10 years, $400 million, no matter what. And if you give that to my client, we'll sign the extension. I don't know if the Dodgers are willing to go for 10 years, 400 million, or whatever it takes. But my expectation and my guess is that's probably roughly what Skubal would get in free agency. I don't think there's many teams out there that actually could afford Skubal. But I mean, looking at the short list, you would have to throw in probably both New York teams. There'd be another sleeper team, potentially like Philadelphia, that would get in the mix for Skubal. And then you never know. I would have had Toronto most years, but because they paid Dylan Cease, I don't think they'll be in on Skubal. I don't know if the Baltimore Orioles, who desperately need starting pitching, would go up there. But yeah, I mean, there's not going to be that many teams. Yes, I see people asking, where's Jake? He's coming soon. We're just waiting him out, but he'll be here shortly. So it's an interesting dilemma. I personally think even if you don't guarantee the extension, I would still make the trade for Tarik Skubal. Even if it's just 1 year of Skubal and he walks, you're giving up a lot. It certainly is recoverable. As good and as talented as Sheehan is, they've got other guys in their farm system and in their staff right now that can replace him. There he is, the man. We are kicking off the show right now, talking Tarik Skubal. So just to bring you up to speed real quick, and then I'll get your input. I think the Dodgers should do anything it takes to get Skubal. I don't care if it's a 1 year risk or a 1 year rental potentially. If it takes Sheehan, Glasnow, Hope, and a couple other prospects to get Skubal, I'm doing the trade. So what are your thoughts, Jake Reiner, on Tarik Skubal and the rumors that we've been hearing?
I mean, he's one of the best pitchers in all of baseball, if not the best pitcher in baseball, certainly in the American League. So If you can get him, that is just the most amazing offseason again for the Dodgers. I mean, the Dodgers are trying to win as many World Series as they can in a row and basically break the record for the most consecutive World Series ever, which I think it's like 5. I think the Yankees did it once back in, the Mickey Mantle days. But it's clear that when Ohtani signed with the Dodgers a couple of years ago, he deferred all of that money every single year so that they can compete every offseason to make the team better and to win World Series. And for the first 2 seasons of Ohtani's Dodgers career, they've won back-to-back World Series. They're going for the three-peat. Like I said about Edwin Diaz when we did our sort of breaking news show, that was a signal to everybody, the league, fans, the world of sports, if you will, that they're committed to winning again. And they're not going to just stand pat. They're going out and they're getting the best of the best available. And Edwin Diaz was the best closer available because he's the best closer in baseball right now. Tarik Skubal is one of the best pitchers in baseball. So the Dodgers certainly have stockpiled a bunch of prospects over the years. They've been reluctant to let go of many of them. And the problem that we've seen a lot of the times, Kevin, is that some of these highly touted prospects are being blocked by the major league roster. So there really isn't any upward mobility there for this team. And so I feel like there are a number of pitchers, there are a number of position players that they could part ways with to acquire a guy like Skubal. But the name I keep hearing in a potential Skubal package would be Tyler Glasnow, and then the other name is Emmett Sheehan. And if you have a chance to get Skubal, I think that's a no-brainer to me.
This is the only opportunity that we may ever have for the Dodgers to three-peat. And so I am perfectly comfortable doing whatever it takes to get Skubal. Even if it's for 1 year, three-peats will live forever. That's what it goes down to at the end of the day. Like, it is so hard to win 1 World Series. It's even harder to win 2 World Series. It's nearly impossible to win 3 consecutive World Series. And so if Skubal truly is on the market and the Detroit Tigers are intrigued by whatever the Dodgers are offering, I think you press the green button, you make it happen. Like Sheehan, I love Sheehan, but let's look at the facts. If the Dodgers rotation is perfectly healthy, he's never starting an October game for the Dodgers. Tyler Glasnow is great, but he's realistically the number 4 on the postseason staff. You've got River Ryan coming back, and he'll be really good. You've got Roki Sasaki, who's going to take the next step forward, I truly believe, and he'll be in the mix for the rotation. Like, who's beating a punch of Skubal game 1, Yamamoto game 2, Snell game 3, and Ohtani game 4?
Yeah, and I would even say Yamamoto should be game 1. I mean, it really doesn't matter what order you go in. And again, even without Skubal, doesn't matter what order you go in. We're still, if we don't get him, we still have an incredible starting rotation. The problem is that, Glasnow has had a real problem staying healthy. It's followed him his whole career. So that's the only thing that has worried me about him. But obviously when he's healthy and available, he's one of the best. And I think, Yamamoto got all the praise, all the deserved praise. And certainly Snell deserved all the praise that he got. But Glasnow kind of flew under the radar during the postseason, but he was just as instrumental as any of those guys. I mean, he was so good, whatever role they had him in. I mean, they brought him out of the bullpen, a long man, short man. He started games. So he was incredible. And I think that in order for the Tigers to part ways with Skubal, they're going to have to, get some major league ready talent back. And having a guy like Glasnow in the mix or even Sheehan would sweeten the deal. Now, of course, I think that this deal is contingent on Skubal signing an extension, right? So that would be also a high priority for this team.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm the Detroit Tigers, you really have 2 options. You go all in knowing that this is probably your last season with Skubal. But based off what we've seen them doing this offseason, which has literally been nothing, it doesn't seem like they've been that serious about trying to win and maximize that World Series. If they were truly all in right now, they would have signed someone like Alex Bregman, or maybe they're in the Kyle Tucker mix or something, because they need some big bats. So that makes me think they're kind of leaning towards option 2, which is trade Skubal, get as much back as you can right now, try to extend your window, and try to avoid being like the Angels where you let Ohtani walk and you get absolutely nothing back in return. And so I think that's why you're seeing a lot of these MLB insiders, especially around the world's around the winter meetings, even if they're uncredible or questionable, like a David Pingalore or whatever, or they're more truthful and insightful, like Alden Gonzalez or Jorge Castillo. It seems like there's just been a ton of buzz lately about Skubal being on the market, and it does really feel like the Dodgers are in on this.
The only drawback for the Dodgers to get Skubal for me would be that David Pingalore would be right, and that would piss me off. I think I'd get over it pretty quickly, but that guy, I mean, it's like, where have you been, dude? Like, that guy's been at KTLA for a long time. I've met him. I've worked around him. Not the greatest reputation in terms of being a good guy. Let's just say that. But journalistically, I mean, where has he been? Like, why now? I mean, did he just pick up a source out of nowhere?
He was at the winter meeting.
Yeah, where has his reporting been for all this time?
Maybe he bought someone a drink.
Maybe, but yeah, I'm not a big Pingalore fan.
I got nothing against him. I don't.
Yeah, you don't know him. That's why.
Yeah, I don't know him, but hey, I hope he's right. I mean, the final thoughts on Skubal here. It's like back-to-back Cy Young awards, 2.39 ERA in 2024, 2.21 ERA this most recent season. Like, if this guy's on the market, make it happen. You already pointed out that Glasnow does have some injury concerns, so you never truly know what version of Tyler Glasnow you're going to get heading into the playoffs. He didn't pitch in 2024. He was fortunate we were able to get him to pitch in 2025. I think some load management helps there. But honestly, like I was just saying a second ago, if you've got Skubal, who I truly do think he'd be the Dodgers game 1 starter because he's won back-to-back Cy Young awards, and he is, I think, the closest thing to Clayton Kershaw that we've seen right now. And then Yamamoto goes game 2, Snell game 3, Ohtani game 4, and then you've got your weapons out of the pen. Sasaki goes back to the bullpen. You've got an option in River Ryan who could come out of the bullpen. Maybe Kyle Hurt is healthy and he can pitch out of the pen. And then you've got your huge weapons like Vesia, Diaz, and Scott, who pitch high leverage. This would be an insane roster. I don't care about the extension, to be honest.
Yeah, if it means they're three-peating, like yeah, I would take it. I would take Skubal for 1 year, but to me, it's like, in terms of game 1, game 2, I know it doesn't really matter, but if I'm the Dodgers, I'm going Yamamoto game 1. I don't care how many Cy Young Skubal's won. This is Yamamoto's team. This is Yamamoto's pitching staff. He just won the World Series MVP. To me, that's the no-brainer. But that's if and when we get Skubal and we get to the playoffs and all of them are healthy, and like there's so many if, ands, or buts to this whole situation that you gotta have to kind of wait and see. But again, like, I know that getting bullpen arms was a big need. It was cool to see the Dodgers naming Edwin Diaz the closer. I know it was kind of it seemed like pretty obvious that was going to happen, but the Dodgers haven't named a closer really in a long time. I mean, I think since Kenley Jansen, have they not? Or maybe Kimbrel? I don't know. I mean, there have been some.
Kimbrel for sure. They named him closer.
Yeah.
The year they punted, we'll just say quote unquote, in 23, they said Evan Phillips was going to be the closer.
Yeah, but he wasn't like, they weren't like, oh, he's our closer. It was like, he's he just gets the ball at the end of the game, basically. But
Yeah.
naming Edwin Diaz the closer is a big deal. And I know that was obviously a big need for this team. Skubal seems like surplus to me. That seems like it's not a real need, but it is because we can. And if we can get him, we're going to get him. But to me, the need, the more pressing need for this team is in the outfield. And I'd love to get into that at some point, but that's where my focus is.
We're getting there. What I was going to say, so I'll close the book here on Skubal, and then we'll shift to Diaz. What if I told you Skubal's lifetime playoff ERA is 2.04 with a 191 FIP and a .731 WHIP?
It's incredible. I mean, they haven't had that many opportunities, but that is, great. Those are great numbers.
Yes, that's back-to-back. They made the back-to-back division series. Yeah, I was gonna say I don't think they made the ALCS either time. No. But they had to pitch him in wild card rounds. All right, so yeah, maybe we'll go back to Skubal later in the show. If you guys have questions for us, put those in there. Make sure to hit the like button. It's official. Edwin Diaz signed his contract with the Dodgers today. They announced it all over their social media account. They gave the hype videos. 3 years, $69 million. The press conference was held at Dodger Stadium with Brandon Gomes and Andrew Friedman. And I'll start with the front office side of things. So nothing too crazy was said. It was pretty much the blah, blah, blah. Nothingness usually from Gomes, but he provided a little bit more insight today, thankfully. When asked, he basically said that Diaz was on their board to kick off the offseason, was definitely someone they were targeting. They knew they needed to address that need at closer, which was definitely something we had been preaching, because I think Tanner Scott, great bounce back candidate, but they didn't want to ride him as their closer for 2026. Just no way, no how. So Diaz was near the top of their board. Number 3, taking the mantle from Chris Taylor. Any feelings on that?
No.
Do we call him ED3?
Yeah, you can call him ED3. It seems like 3 has been open for the Dodgers for, I mean, obviously it's not retired, but like that seems like a number that always gets passed around from, player to player. So the fact that Chris Taylor was number 3, I mean, CT3, that's, a great nickname. And he was a great Dodger for what he provided. He's a World Series champion and all of that stuff. It's just an interesting reliever number. You don't necessarily see pitchers have single-digit jersey numbers, and we have one on the team right now, which is Snell, who's 7. So it is rare, but it'll look cool, I think. He obviously could not do 39 because of Roy Campanella. But yeah, it's a new era, and I didn't watch the whole press conference or really much of it at all. I've seen a few clips of it, but from what I've seen, he just looks really happy. Like he looks really just like relieved to be in a winning organization like the Dodgers. It just seemed like that was the deciding factor for him. He looked at the landscape of the Mets. He looked at their roster and the way that they've handled things, and they continue to miss the playoffs and choke. And Edwin Diaz continues to be amazing. And so he looked at the landscape and said, well, I could definitely make a ton of money here, and I could make a ton of money really anywhere because I'm the best closer on the market. But what's the ultimate goal? The ultimate goal is to win a World Series. And he talked about that. He was very, very adamant about helping this Dodgers team win a World Series, and also very much honored to be named the closer. I saw him do a sit down with Kirsten Watson, and he was saying that his only expectation was to help this team win a 3rd World Series in a row, and wasn't expecting the closer role, which, you pay that guy enough money. It's like, what else would you be? But it's cool. I mean, he had that great level of confidence. His whole family was there. He looked like great in a Dodgers uniform, as everyone seems to. And it's just it's just cool to have a lockdown all-star closer on your team right now.
I agree. One other thing that I loved about what Gomes said, why Diaz is such an attractive fit, is not only is this a guy that can pitch the ninth inning, but this is a guy that's willing to go out there, pitch the fourth inning, pitch the fifth inning, get multi-inning saves. He is a true weapon for the Dodgers. And I truly believe that when you can have versatile pieces in your bullpen, it adds a ton of value. That was maybe one of the issues with Kenley Jansen for the duration of his career. Truly a guy that could only go out there in the ninth inning for the most part, and that was his role. If you tried to extend him kind of near the later half of his Dodger tenure, a lot of things would go wrong. If you pitched him in the eighth inning, try to get a 6-out save, he'd blow it in the ninth. We saw that happen a few times in the World Series. But however, the Dodgers starting to find guys that can pitch all across out of different scenarios in the bullpen. Evan Phillips, a known commodity, he can do that. Blake Trinan has proven that for years. Now you throw in another guy like Edwin Diaz, proven closer. I love that. Some of the quotes, because I did watch the entire press conference today, it was pretty short. So Diaz confirms that he did speak with his brother Alexis, and we all know Alexis pitched for the Dodgers for a short tenure last season. One of the things that stood out to me, Alexis Diaz said that what he loved about the Dodgers organization is they treat every player like they're important. You know, I do think that is valuable. And that was definitely something that Diaz said as well, that's an important value to him. So Dodgers investing a lot in respecting their players. I think that's, speaks highly of our organization. And then this was kind of funny and contradictory in a way. So Diaz first said, it wasn't an easy decision to leave the Mets, but then he kind of contradicted himself right away. So he said he chose the Dodgers because he's looking to win. He knows the Dodgers have proven that they're winners. And so when coming to sign with the Dodgers, it was an easy decision. So a little bit of ring chasing there, but I think this all points to my theory that I think Edwin Diaz was just done with the New York Mets. I think when they signed Devin Williams, that was a slap in the face to Diaz because they weren't prioritizing him in free agency, and it gave the Dodgers a lot more leverage.
I think ring chasing, or I guess I should say the stigma of ring chasing, is much more criticized in the NBA, for example, than Major League Baseball, because you put a super team together as an NBA team, like when LeBron and Wade and Bosh got together, and I'm not saying that it was a layup, so to speak, that they would win the title, but your odds skyrocket when you add those guys together. In baseball, it's a little bit different. I mean, you're so much dependent on the other guys on the team that you only have a small sliver of a part. Now, granted, the closer role is a big part of a Major League Baseball team. So ring chasing is definitely something that I feel like in baseball is so not a thing. And Edwin Diaz, who knows how much longer he's going to pitch and how much longer, let's say he stays with the Mets, how much longer is he going to wait for them to put together a good roster? So let's maximize not only the time that he has as a Major League Baseball player, but his prime and getting the most out of that. So I totally am on board with what he decided to do. And the cool part is that they asked him about, are you going to bring the Timmy Trumpet song that was made iconic in New York when he's coming out of the bullpen? And he said that obviously he's going to bring that back. I mean, I've just been envisioning the trumpet, just what the Dodgers could do, publicity wise with it, and just how cool it's going to be to see a closer come in with a big song and a big video board. It reminds me of when Eric Gagne would come into a game and you'd see "Game Over" flashing throughout Dodger Stadium, or even Kenley Jansen when he had "California Love." It's just iconic Dodger closers coming in with these great entrance songs. I just think it's going to be awesome.
I think the Dodgers are going to milk this thing to its core. And I was shocked that Gomes gave it away right away. He basically threw out there, he can't wait for the bobblehead night. They're probably going to have 2 Edwin Diaz bobblehead nights. They're going to sell some Timmy Trumpet, Edwin Diaz closer shirt. Like they're going to make their money back right away. Like you were just saying, like this closer entrance thing, the Dodgers are going to milk the shit out of this. I hope they don't make it insufferable, because honestly, I wasn't the biggest trumpet guy with the whole Mets thing. I thought it was kind of embarrassing at times. If Diaz
That's because you hate the Mets.
If Diaz was coming out there in the 4th inning and they started to do the closer entrance, like that was laughable. So I hope we don't embarrass ourselves.
No, there's no way to. There's no way. I mean, it's just like it's his song. It's his entrance music. It's just like any other, pitcher that comes out of the bullpen. They get their song, and this one is going to be epic. And they're gonna, and the Dodgers are gonna Dodger it up. They're gonna Hollywood it up, and it's gonna be just the coolest. I think the coolest entrance you'll ever see.
I agree. I can't wait to see that element, because the Dodgers are going to add their own spin to it. So
yes,
it's going to be electric. So since we're on the subject of relievers, Diaz was the big fish. I figured they'd get their closer. I have a name that I can guarantee the Dodgers will re-sign, or I gave it away, but I have a name that Dodgers will sign to add to the bullpen. So before I do that, was just going to let you give your input. Should the Dodgers add another big name reliever, or add a reliever out there?
I think it's worth adding another right-handed reliever if it makes sense to this team. And I don't know who that would be, but you seem to have someone in mind. I don't have someone in mind right now.
So it's Evan Phillips. I would take it to the bank. The Dodgers bring back Evan Phillips. That's your other reliever.
I could have told you, Evan.
That's your other guy. They're gonna, frame it in a way where it's like Evan Phillips coming back around the trade deadline. That's your trade deadline acquisition. That's what's gonna happen. So I think they sign him around spring training when he's eligible to move to the 60-day, and it'll be a 2-year deal. And then hopefully, because he's recovering from Tommy John surgery, he's back by late July, early August, and helps the Dodgers down the stretch. I think if you can get Phillips just in time for the playoffs, you'll take it. I think we have enough reinforcements in the meantime to hold down the fort.
Yeah, I'm with you. I love Evan Phillips. He's one of my favorite Dodger relievers, and I've just been so impressed with how dominant he's been after the Andrew Friedman found him out of obscurity and just made him basically an elite reliever. I mean, he is high leverage as it gets. I remember a few seasons ago, I think it was 2021 or 22, one of those seasons where they just brought him out of the bullpen in any situation. It was like bases loaded, nobody out, or, second and third and one out. And it was like every single time he got out of it. So I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I would venture to guess that his like inherited runners ERA is probably pretty damn low, because he is so good at getting out of those situations. And the Dodgers need a guy like that, because they named Edwin Diaz the closer, as we just said. So it's not like they're going to be using Edwin Diaz in other situations in the 7th or 8th inning. I mean, now as we get closer to October, and in October, all bets are off there. But during the regular season, you're going to need guys that, are good right-handed, high leverage guys. And Evan Phillips is one of those guys. I hope that Treinen can make a comeback. And I'm hoping that Gratterall, we see him at some point. But the Dodgers bullpen is looking pretty damn good right now.
Evan Phillips has a 2.22 lifetime Dodgers ERA. You make that happen. You bring him back. Tommy John surgery is so advanced these days that one surgery does not cook your arm. So I am not worried. I think he'll be perfectly fine when he comes back. And then the last thoughts I had on Diaz, and then let's get into a lot of outfield conversations. Maybe I said this last time, but the Mets played themselves. The Mets have been metting so hard this offseason. It is just ridiculous. You traded Nimmo, who's a clubhouse favorite as well as a fan favorite, for a washed Marcus Semien. I don't get that one. You let the heart and soul of your clubhouse, Pete Alonso, go to Baltimore. I mean, that's a guy that hits 30 to 40 home runs for you every single year, and he's had some big home runs in the playoffs. You let him go. You never even gave him a considerable, respectable contract. And then with Edwin Diaz, he wanted 4 or 5 years, and the most they were able to offer him was 3 years, $66 million. They said they were going to bring back at least one of Diaz or Alonso. They failed to bring back either. Barstool Frank, I think he's actually been spot on about this team. Stearns is a fraud. Cohen is a fraud. And they milked a lot of money to Juan Soto, and they didn't even make the playoffs. That franchise is in trouble.
Yeah, I have to agree with you on the Frank the Tank take. He is insane, but he's right. And this team has been bad for a long time, and it just goes to show you that it doesn't. That's why the argument of like, oh, the Dodgers just have so much money they can buy all these players and buy World Series, a la Jason Kelsey. Money doesn't matter at all if you can't put a good roster together. I mean, look at the Mets, look at the Angels. The Yankees haven't won a World Series since 2009. I mean, these teams and these markets, San Diego spends a ton of money. It's like it doesn't matter if they don't put a good roster together. So it's just such a tired argument, and it seems that like what they're doing, or I don't know what David Stearns' big plan is there in Queens, but maybe they're trying to just kind of clean house and restructure this roster in a different way. Is this a rebuild for them? Certainly letting a guy like Pete Alonso, who clearly was not the problem, letting him walk, a franchise guy, a guy that, fans, a fan favorite, like you mentioned, just letting him go and saying, we're not going to go as many years as the Orioles ended up giving him. And it's like, really? Like that's a time where you use the money and you say, money's not a problem. We're going to keep our superstar and build around him. I just don't understand what they're doing over there.
Outfielder talk now. I'm going to let you have the floor on this one. Where do you want to lead? There's so many different players to discuss. But for example, there's Kyle Tucker, there's the Teoscsr Hernandez trade rumors. Go back to Cody Bellinger, or there's that new outfielder they acquired today. We're going to cover all that, but which one do you want to start with?
Well, I was just perusing on Twitter, and I saw this thing from Alden Gonzalez, the ESPN baseball reporter. Mm-hmm. He was saying they might even do both, referring to Kyle Tucker and Tarik Skubal. So, I mean, if they added both of those guys, I mean, like that greatest roster ever assembled. I mean, can we go that far? I mean, it would be ridiculous if they got both of those guys. So that's kind of like maybe where we want to start, which is the best option available would be to make a trade for Tarik Skubal, maybe sign him to an extension or not, but at least trade for him. And then with Kyle Tucker, the Dodgers are not going to go, 7-8 years with Kyle Tucker, but they will do something similar to what they did with Edwin Diaz, which is short years, high AAV, and, make him a free agent after 3 or 4 years and see if that is something that Kyle Tucker would be interested in. And now, obviously, there are a number of other teams. Blue Jays I've heard are in the mix for him. So, yeah, what do you make of that? I mean, what if the Dodgers were to get both Skubal and Tucker?
Well, first of all, I really don't believe that's going to happen. I think I don't want to correct the wrong person, but I'm 99% confident our newest Dodgers beat reporter, Katie Wu, was the one that reported that the Dodgers would be willing to only go 3 or 4 years for Kyle Tucker. But that just seems nearly impossible because the reports as of this morning is that the Toronto Blue Jays might be willing to go 10 years, $400 million for Kyle Tucker. So it would have to be almost like a conscious decision for Kyle Tucker to say, I'm going to leave money on the table and I'm just going to go to the Dodgers and try to win a World Series in this 3 or 4 year window of the contract that I signed.
Yeah, and I don't know anything about Kyle Tucker's personality. From what I've seen, he doesn't really speak much, so I don't really know what his priorities are right now. But that it would be crazy to turn down a 10-year, $400 million. That is like, I mean, I love it from the standpoint of teams willing to spend a ton of money, because I feel like more teams need to spend more of their money to put more competitive teams on the field. But it just seems like the Blue Jays, after losing to the Dodgers, were like, oh my God, we got to do everything. We have to be in on every single player, we're going to get Dylan Cease, and we're going to, go after Kyle Tucker. And it's just kind of I don't know, it feels a little like desperate, but it also feels like they're trying to capitalize on this window that they have right now.
I respect it. I admire that they're really trying to get this World Series, and I think Kyle Tucker would be a phenomenal add to the Toronto Blue Jays. I think he's a really good outfielder. For the Dodgers' sake, Kyle Tucker doesn't feel like a need for us. It feels more like a super uber luxury. I think there's a lot of other outfielders that are in the market, primarily in trades, that could do just as much in terms of just immediate impact for the Dodgers. For example, as talented as Tucker is, I don't think a Steven Kwan or Brendan Donovan is significantly that far behind in terms of production. It's noticeable, but overall, I feel like where the Dodgers are talent-wise, those guys would fill the gap just as much as Kyle Tucker would. I mean, that could obviously change with a couple of factors. If Mookie Betts is just awful again, then you are going to need someone else to pick it up offensively. If Max Muncy gets hurt again, you probably do need that bat in there. Injuries is where it starts to play a factor, but I do think Kyle Tucker ultimately does go to the Toronto Blue Jays. I just have a hard time seeing us pay top dollar for him.
I agree with you in the sense of Brendan Donovan being just as valuable, obviously not offensively, but in terms of his defensive versatility. Muncy, like you mentioned, does get hurt every season, so you're going to need guys to plug in, and Kyle Tucker can only play the outfield. So there are other options to. And I think what the Dodgers need to do with the outfield is just find a guy that's not going to be there for that long. I mean, they have a bunch of outfield prospects coming up through the system that I would like to see what they have. I mean, if they're going to hold on to them and not trade them for anybody, like I want to see what we have with those guys. So I can't imagine that they're going to go after guys that are going to have those long-term deals in place. The weird thing to me is so you're telling me that the Dodgers would rather trade Teoscsr Hernandez, a guy that has been a massive factor in you winning back-to-back titles with his bat. You'd rather trade him than move him to left field? Like, that to me is one of the most egregious things I've ever heard. Not to say that the Dodgers are imminently going to trade Teoscsr Hernandez, but the fact that that's even being brought up as a possibility, it just makes no sense to me. Keep him around for one more year, put him in a position that he actually can play, and find a right fielder out there. Go out and get the Harrison Bader or someone like that. I don't understand wanting to trade Teoscsr Hernandez. I get it from the standpoint of, the defense is bad. He had a down year last year offensively overall. But to me, it's like you signed him to a multi-year deal. He's been a huge contributor in you winning back-to-back titles. Why wouldn't you run it back with him? Just put him in the right fucking position.
I don't understand at all why Teoscsr Hernandez is coming up in trade conversations. I really don't get it. And I don't understand why there's a decent segmentation of this fan base that wants to trade Teoscsr Hernandez. Let me start with my main point. For years, we have been begging for a guy that could show up in the postseason and hit big home runs. We've had that now in back-to-back World Series championship runs with Teoscsr Hernandez. The dude had like 5 home runs this October. He had a huge home run off Matt Strom. That pretty much set the tone of the NLDS against the Philadelphia Phillies. He had a home run off Max Scherzer in the World Series as well. And then last season, he had big home runs. He had a grand slam against the San Diego Padres. And I know it was in a loss, but he still had a grand slam. He had big moments in the World Series as well against the New York Yankees. And you're telling me you want to trade this guy because you don't like his defense? Boo-hoo. Get over it. We had to sit through fucking years where David Peralta, Jason Hayward, we'll go back even farther, years of just even washed Andre Ethier. There was just Curtis Granderson. There were just so many washed outfielders that we had to jog out there in the playoffs. Like
Billy McKinney.
Oh my God. Yeah, there's another one. Steven Souza Jr. had a high leverage at bat against AJ Minter. You want to go back to that dog shit? I do not. Give me Teo. He needs to be a Dodger next season. And if you want to trade him when there's 1 year left on his contract, then I can see the argument. But we're not trading him. No way, no how when we have a chance to three-peat. I am sorry. This is a bad take to want him off this team.
I know. Just moving to left field. It's the most obvious thing ever. I don't care if he sees the ball better in right field. Well, it didn't look like it. Didn't look like he could see the ball at all. Didn't look like he could get to the ball in right field. I didn't see anything to suggest that he should be in right field versus left field. I mean, he's got a good arm, but if you can't make a catch or get to the ball, what good is that?
Well, how does that make you feel that they already confirmed, at least for now, Teoscsr Hernandez is their right fielder?
It's ridiculous. I mean, you know, it's like you kind of hesitate to criticize a team that just won back-to-back World Series, but that's something that we were saying all year long. It's just like, what are we watching here?
I know, right? I don't know why they would trade him to Kansas City either. Like who on the Royals do we even realistically want? Like if they traded Teoscsr Hernandez just to get prospects back, I would be sick to my stomach.
I mean, the fact is we need another outfielder. We don't need to subtract an outfielder. Then we're going to need 2. So I don't get it all. I really hope those rumors aren't legitimate.
Yeah. Okay, so we talked about that. I think I got enough off my chest. Speaking of new outfielders, is this our solution? Michael Ciani. They acquired him, claimed him off waivers. The Atlanta Braves, I guess, DFA'd him. He played for the St. Louis Cardinals last season. He hit .235 with 17 at-bats, no home runs, no RBIs. But what he's known for is his defense. He's basically the white version of Justin Dean, I guess. In center field, he had like a positive 16 outs above average. So he's a really good defender, but I don't really know what we'll get out of him if he can't hit.
Yeah, I don't know. Seems like they want him on the 40-man to have that Justin Dean, Ha-Seong Kim option down the road. Maybe he's a defensive replacement for Teoscsr Hernandez if he makes the 26-man roster. I don't know. I don't know anything about him, but it seems like a marginal ad.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to make the opening day roster. He has minor league options, but just someone to keep on the back of your mind. The Dodgers 40-man roster is full right now. So if they are going to sign anybody, they've got to make a move. They would have to trade someone or DFA a player, I guess. I think moves are coming. Landon Knack, Bobby Miller, your time with the Dodgers, I think it's coming to a close. Just throwing that out there right now. Do you still think Cody Bellinger is a real possibility?
No, but I love him. As you know, I'm a big Cody Bellinger fan. But like I said about Kyle Tucker, like if Cody Bellinger wants a 7 to 8 year contract, I'm not really interested in that. But a 3 to 4 year deal, I would be. I think that he solves a lot of issues defensively, and he's a great bat. So I'm all for reuniting this team with Cody Bellinger. But again, I don't think that they're going to shell out a ton of money for him, as opposed to a guy like Kyle Tucker, who's younger and has more upside. But they were saying that if they do end up trading Teoscsr Hernandez, then Cody Bellinger becomes more of a viable option, which to me is like, why would you want that? Like, why would you want to give up a guy like Teoscsr Hernandez, who's been great in the postseason these past 2 seasons, for a guy like Cody Bellinger, who I love, but I wouldn't swap those two.
Even though the regular season stats would suggest, as well as the defense, that Cody Bellinger is an upgrade over Teoscsr Hernandez, I just think Teoscsr has the intangibles that make him a more valuable asset than Bellinger. I think he's a way better clubhouse fit. I feel like the final years with Bellinger, he looked like a dead dog out there. And I just didn't really think he was vibing with his teammates. I think
no, I mean, and he was struggling mightily too. So that had a lot.
Well, that's what I was going to say, is that if he's struggling, it really gets to him, and then it rubs off on how he's gelling with the clubhouse. Teoscsr Hernandez can go into funks, and he's still being a clubhouse guy. He's still having fun out there. And the guy just has a knack for the big moment. The bat flips, the high leverage at bats, doesn't look phased by the moment. You need guys like Teoscsr on your team.
Yeah, I agree.
Dodgers continue to still be linked to Brendan Donovan, but I feel like I talk about him every week. I'll just continue to throw it out there that this is my top guy. I want it to happen. So Brendan Donovan, please come to the Dodgers. Please make it happen. Make this trade happen.
Yes, I'm with you on that.
So there was maybe something else that I wanted to talk about, but what's top of mind right now for me is involving the World Baseball Classic. So on the Dodger side of things, Roki Sasaki wanted to initially pitch for Team Japan, but then it was confirmed he's been ruled out. I don't know if that was his decision or the Dodgers vetoed him out there. But probably the more important one, and I want to get your thoughts on this, Yoshinobu Yamamoto pitching for Team Japan. Any concerns?
Yeah, there's always concerns. Like I have concerns about Will Smith catching for Team USA, even though he'll likely be the backup to Cal Raleigh. I get nervous about, especially with our pitchers. And Yamamoto, who had an incredible season and didn't miss a start. But 1 year ago, 1 year before that, he was on the IL and for a long period of time. So I do get worried that these guys will get hurt. But with that being said, I love the World Baseball Classic. I think it is amazing for the sport, and it is really hype. And that battle that we saw between Japan and USA last time around with Ohtani versus Trout, that was the coolest thing ever. I was actually in attendance for a couple of World Baseball Classics ago when Adam Jones robbed Manny Machado at Petco Park. I was there for that. That was one of the coolest moments I've ever seen as a fan in the stadium. So the World Baseball Classic needs all of its stars to be available. It looks like most of them will be. I mean, Team USA looks absolutely stacked, but a number of the teams look absolutely stacked this year, and I'm excited to see it happen. But yeah, it does concern me that our best pitcher is going to be, pitching more than he would normally if he wasn't doing the World Baseball Classic.
Yeah, I am not a fan of this idea of Yoshinobu Yamamoto pitching in the World Baseball Classic. Not so much because I fear the injuries, but I have some concerns about the taxation that's going to start to build up on his arm. They've now played on obviously 2 back-to-back World Series. I know the first year Yamamoto didn't have to log a whole lot of innings due to the injury, but this most recent season, he pitched a lot. He had a career high in innings. He also obviously pitched a lot in the World Series run, including pitching Game 6 and then Game 7 the next day. And so to have him go into intense competition earlier than needed it is certainly a minor concern for me. I wish that Yamamoto would just take advantage of the offseason and be with the Dodgers during spring training. But it is what it is, I guess. And I hope Ohtani doesn't pitch.
Yeah, I don't think he will. The Dodgers are already saying that they're going to give him like 7 to 8 days rest in between starts. So I would imagine that he probably isn't going to pitch, but it could be the case where he does that closer thing that he did last time around.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. So let's get your questions in there now. Everyone in the chat, we'll take questions. So drop those questions in our live feed and hit that like button, hit the subscribe button if you haven't gotten to that yet. But before we get those questions, as you get those in, what else should we talk about, Jake? Anything else that I slipped and forgot about?
Well, one of our viewers, first-time viewer, says that I look like a TA at MIT. So I don't know if that's a compliment or not, but MIT is a pretty illustrious school. So that's cool. But TA, kind of below professor. So it's kind of a dig, maybe not. What else could we talk about? I think that the Dodgers are once again proving that they're going to stop at literally nothing to make sure that this window stays open for as long as possible. But one thing I am thinking about, Kevin, is we've talked about it a lot, but the Dodgers have a lot of kind of aging superstars. Mookie Betts is another year older. Freddie Freeman is another year older. Teoscsr Hernandez is another year older. I'm not so concerned about Ohtani because he's a freak, but we've got a lot of superstars that are kind of getting up there. Are we at all concerned at this point, or we're going to just wait and see how this season plays out in order to have that conversation?
The biggest concern, and I'm not a fan of it, is Mookie Betts playing another year of shortstop.
Yeah.
This most recent season, he was good defensively. Would it have really made a difference at the end of the day if someone else played shortstop on our team? Like Edman, I guess, plays more shortstop, for example, or Rojas gets more reps at shortstop. I don't think it would have made a big difference, honestly. But that bat production, it was a huge fall off. And there's a ton of different excuses and theories out there. I've watched a lot of baseball. Shortstop is a very taxing position. And if he goes into 2026 with another down year, if you continue to deny it's because he's playing, if you continue to deny the fact that shortstop isn't correlated, like I don't know what to tell you. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm going to be really worried about Mookie Betts offensively. I mean, that is what we need him for. And I'm worried. But again, the point that I keep making is maybe he's put in enough work at shortstop to where it's not going to bother him as much in terms of what he's thinking about on a daily basis, what he's working on in practice and all of that. Like, hopefully the work that he's put in is going to kind of pay off in the sense of muscle memory and just kind of knowing the position a little bit better, being a little more, instinctual at that position. And so it'll free him up offensively. I'm just hoping that's the case, but
yeah, we are getting old. Point is definitely worth noting.
Yeah.
Freddie Freeman, not going to play for Team Canada because he's undergoing procedures, but they won't say what type of procedures they are, but he's getting up there in age. And certainly there are some concerns if the power were to drop off. I mean, other than that, I don't know. Max Muncy is up there in age, but he seemed to be fine once he got the glasses. But
yeah,
can he stay healthy for a full year? I don't know.
He can't.
So we'll get to some questions now, and then I guess wrap into our final segments. Craig Osterberg, thank you, Craig. If Rushing is traded, who's the backup catcher? They don't have one.
Yeah, I mean they let Rortvedt go. He's with the Reds, right? Yeah. They traded Fiducia last season, so he's out. I don't know who else is in our system, on our team. Do you have an idea? I mean, I have no idea. Guess I'd have to sign someone, right?
They would have to find someone. So I don't think they're trading rushing. I think
No, it seems like they're going to give rushing a lot of opportunities, get Will Smith off his feet. They're going to get Freddie Freeman off his feet, apparently, because they're going to put rushing at first. So it's going to be an interesting season. It's going to be a kind of a, put up or shut up situation for Dalton Rushing. He's going to get a lot of at-bats. He's going to get a lot of opportunities. He's been highly touted, big prospect coming into it. So, it's time to see what he's made of.
Roy Estrada, don't hate me, but on the cheap, why not get Ha-Seong Kim? Just a thought.
I mean, it would be a decent move, like for a depth piece, but they're already bringing back Miguel Rojas, so there's that. They're likely going to bring back Kike Hernandez. They've got Ha-Seong Kim already there. I just don't think that there's really a roster spot.
Nothing to do with this Kim. First of all, having two Ha-Seong and Ha-Seong Kim, that's just going to be way too confusing. The names are way too similar. So that's enough of a fact right there to keep me out of the second Kim market. But more importantly, this guy is definitely a demon defensively. Like, I'm not going to deny him of that talent. But bat-wise, this guy is a noodle bat. Like, he is not a good hitter at all. Like, why would the Dodgers want Kim? He hit with two teams, with the Rays and the Braves, a whopping 234 with a 649 OPS. And with the Padres in his last year on a contract prove-it year, 7. Actually, I mean myself, but no, I do not want Kim.
No, don't need him.
Let's see what else we've got. Here we go. Question from Amrocade 3493. Question: I'm concerned about this lineup. I don't hate Betts, but with a league average hitter, but with people need to type these better. I don't hate Betts, but with a league average hitter should not bat behind Ohtani, providing no protection. Ohtani was on base 9 times and Betts went 1 for 9. No. So he's clearly referring to game 3, but this has definitely been a dialogue that I've pointed out. If Mookie Betts has the same production that he did this most recent season, they cannot let him bat second. He is not a number 2 hitter anymore with that type of offensive profile.
Yeah, I think that it's going to be a wait and see to see where he's at offensively this season, and give it a month or two to see where he's at. But I think they got to put ego aside if it doesn't go well and move him down to like 5th or 6th and just like take some of the pressure off of him and figure out his swing and put a guy in there that can get on base. To me, what I would love is for them to figure out someone else to lead off besides Ohtani. Like, I don't know who that would be because there just aren't a lot of other options besides like Betts or like Edman, but he's, coming off of an ankle procedure and he's hurt and doesn't really get on base that much. Ha-Seong Kim is another option, but he doesn't play that often. And who knows if he can get on base. They just got to figure out a different leadoff hitter than Ohtani, because the thing that was bothering me so much is he's having these great seasons, but he should have way more RBIs than he does. With the amount of home runs that he hits, he should have way more RBIs, which just tells me that a bunch of these are solo shots, either leading off the game, which is great, instant offense, or it's relying on the bottom of the order to get on base, which the Dodgers have a pretty good bottom of the order and they figured it out, but that's not always what you want to rely upon to get on base for your superstar. They need a comparable bat leading off in order to set the table for Ohtani. They just don't have a guy like that right now, but they definitely need to move Betts down if he's not hitting.
Yeah. The problem with the Dodgers team right now, and I'm sure they're working on addressing it, nobody else on the team as is, I'm comfortable hitting leadoff. Betts, no. Muncy, no. Edman, definitely no. Kim probably won't even be starting. Freeman's not a leadoff hitter. Smith's not a leadoff hitter. Muncy's not a leadoff hitter. Teoscsr's not a leadoff hitter. Who the hell do they have on the team?
Right, that's the point I was making. They don't have one right now.
And there's really almost no one that you want hitting second. I mean, Will Smith, it worked in those final games, but I would like him maybe an opportunity with more guys on base.
Yeah. I think, if they're going to keep Ohtani leading off, I think you have to go with Smith, because they're not going to go lefty. You're not going to, they don't like that. You're not going to go Ohtani Freeman or Ohtani Muncy. You could go Ohtani Teo. But again, same kind of thing. It's like you want Teo to come up with more men on base, which is, I think Will Smith is a kind of prototypical two hitter when you think about it. It's like he goes the opposite way. He makes contact. He's a smart hitter. He works the count. I think that he would be the best candidate to me to bat second if it's not Betts.
Dodger Dugan, here's the question. Do you sign an outfielder, Cody Bellinger or Kyle Tucker, or do you trade for one of Steven Kwan or Byron Buxton? So I guess rank these four in order of preference.
I think number one is Tucker. I think number two is Kwan. Then I would go Buxton. Or no, I would go Bellinger, then Buxton. And the only reason for that is because Buxton is just so injury prone. And that scares me. So that's where I would rank them.
My preference in order, and I'm factoring in just cost as well, not overall talent, but I want Steven Kwan number one. I think he fits really good on this team and is a good defender.
Now that's a leadoff hitter, by the way.
Exactly. I would hit him leadoff. Number two, yeah, Kyle Tucker for sure. I mean, the resume and talent speaks for itself. Then there's a huge drop off and a gap. Cody Bellinger, I like what he has in terms of versatility, and just the bat profile. And then a slight gap, Byron Buxton last. Like I really want nothing to do with Byron Buxton, to be honest. Like,
yeah, too hurt.
Dude is a walking cast out there, always hurt. I just know the moment he puts on a Dodgers uniform, he's going to end up on the 60-day IL somehow. And even though he's not owed a whole lot of money, like I think it's like 3 years, $45 million or something. The Twins got him for cheap on an extension. I just don't trust. I don't trust him to stay healthy.
Yeah.
So that's where I stand. I don't see any other questions right now, but I'll give people a couple minutes if they want to sneak anything in there. But Jake, final thoughts? Anything else you wanted to cover real quick?
No, this is a great day. I'll go back to just saying something about Edwin Diaz, which is it's always great to see when a guy puts on a Dodgers uniform, just in general, but the feeling that you kind of get from that person is like just elation, just pure joy. And it's great to see what this franchise has become given where it was with the McCourt era. We think back to that. And I was texting you about like, the 2000 early 2000s Dodgers where they had like Sean Green and Sheffield and Beltre and LaDuca and Karros and all those guys. And the fact is that they just, had good lineups, but couldn't ever put a great team on the field and rarely made the playoffs. They only made the playoffs in like 2004. So to go from that to this, where your franchise is basically the embodiment of success, is one of the greatest arcs you could ever ask for. So we are living in one of the best eras, probably the best era of Dodgers baseball that's ever existed. I mean, this franchise has never won back-to-back titles before. So, I mean, it is a great day, beautiful day. The Dodgers are officially signaling that they are going for their third title in a row.
Justin Yamas wants his Anthony Rendon. Anthony Rendon agrees with the Angels shout out because on this day, 6 years ago, he decided he was going to go to the Anaheim Angels. So that worked out well, didn't it?
Yeah, he's really shown up for them.
So I'll just throw this out there real quick. I guess this will be my final thoughts. So biggest winners and biggest losers so far in the offseason. Now that the winter meetings have concluded and there's been a lot of action, the biggest loser, and I don't even think it's close right now, it's got to be the New York Mets. They've lost Diaz. They've lost Alonso. They've lost Tyler Rogers recently to the Blue Jays. They're just losing everybody right now. So biggest loser. Second biggest loser, I think, has to be the San Diego Padres. They lost Dylan Cease. They're about to lose Michael King. They lost Robert Suarez, who went to the Braves as well. They haven't added anybody, so they're the second biggest loser. They don't look like they're anywhere near the playoffs. They're already talking about trading Mason Miller, and they just got him at the deadline. Like, they are in disarray right now. And I think the third biggest loser, just in terms of kind of expectations and results so far, I would have to go with the Yankees. They took a risk with trying to give Grissom that qualifying offer, and I think they were hoping he wouldn't take it. He ultimately did take it. They haven't signed Cody Bellinger or Kyle Tucker, and they have some injuries with their starting pitching. Biggest winners, I think you got to go Dodgers. They had the closer. You got to go Blue Jays. They've made a lot of moves. And then I think third, honestly, right now, I'm going Baltimore Orioles. I think Taylor Ward's a good add to the outfield, and Pete Alonso, big thump in the lineup as well.
I just want to shout out my girlfriend, Maria, who has commented in this chat that I just discovered. She
Really?
says that she wants Jock Peterson on the Dodgers.
I saw that comment. I didn't read who said that. I was like, I honestly
you see it now, right?
I do see it. Yes. I wanted to skip. I wasn't even going to bring up Jock Peterson because he was so bad last year. Like I think that that ship has sailed.
Yeah, I always welcome back Jock Peterson. He's a great October hitter, so I always welcome that, but it's not a real fit for him this time, Maria, but maybe one day.
He is a good October hitter, but he hit 181 with the Rangers last season.
Below his weight.
Someone was asking, do you work with David Pingalore?
Do I? No, but I used to work for KCBS as a sports reporter, and so I've worked near him, and yeah, won't get into it, but not a big fan.
Yeah, absolutely. I have no comment. I have nothing against him, but thank you guys so much for watching the Incline Dodgers podcast. Big show today. Lots of rumors that we covered. So thank you guys for tuning in. If you're listening on the audio feed, hit that subscribe button. If you're watching on YouTube, hit that like button and drop a comment below. What's your package look like for Tarik Skubal? Let us know. Have a great rest of your weekend, everyone.